welcome back to my channel. It's Irene. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today's video is going to be a sewing topic video, and it's been such a long time I haven't made any of the sewing content that I usually do on this channel, and the reason is because I have temporarily moved from Italy to Greece and I haven't been able to bring my sewing machine and supplies with me, so I haven't sewn in such a long time. It is a positive thing though, because I had sewn way too much lately and I had this big burnout. I didn't want to sew anymore, but now time has passed and I really miss sewing again, so I can't wait to get back on my sewing machine and create more things. But in the meantime, as right now I'm not able to, I will be sharing for you guys some really beautiful, sweet sewing patterns that are free, and I hope that they will inspire you for your summer projects. Let's go and see what they are. Alright, the first pattern is this beautiful apron dress called Lana, and I love these kinds of sweet vintage looking apron dresses and I can't wait to sew one. I actually have a really similar pattern. I believe it was from the 1940s, 50s, and it is so cute, and I'm so glad to have found a simpler version with simpler instructions that anyone can do. I think this is an intermediate pattern and it's so fun. It's layerable, really sweet for the spring, summer and even autumn seasons, because you can also layer it with a puff sleeved shirt underneath, or even maybe a t-shirt or something, and it will look really sweet. And also I think that there are lots of choices when it comes to playing with the fabric here. I would go for a cotton or a linen, and you could do a plain color, whatever suits your taste, but also lots of patterns would look great on this kind of dress. For example, checks or gingham or stripes. And you can really personalize it, because sometimes, a lot of the time, patterns don't always look good on any kind of dress, but this one is made for that, and I think it's such a sweet, simple project that I would personally do for this summer if I had my machine, so you guys do it for me, please. Next we have this beautiful sundress sewing pattern from Grasser. I've already purchased sewing patterns from Grasser and I've been happy with them. They've been very clear, instructive and well made in the end. They worked out for me personally, and this one is free, so I think it's a great opportunity, and it's a very lovely bohemian flowy dress, perfect for the summer. I like how they use a kind of rope looking tie, but you can also make a more feminine version by just making a kind of bow, like a ribbon, or using the same fabric as the rest of the dress. And again, this one is, I think, nicer if it's simple. You could also play with like maybe the hems by adding some beautiful embroidery if you're interested in embroidery. Right now, if I were to make it, I would use maybe a kind of jute looking natural tie, and then a white linen with blue floral Greek style embroideries on the hem, and maybe around the neckline or something. That's what inspires me at the moment, but I think this has so much possibility. You could really personalize it, and it's also very easy looking. It's probably one of the easiest dresses a beginner can sew, with a very beautiful chic result. Alright, the next pattern is the Maya ruffle dress and top. So I believe this is like both, you can make a top and a dress version, and the reason why I like this is because I'm not particularly a fan of the fabric they use in the picture. However, it reminds me of the flowy dresses from Daughters of India, which is a brand that I follow on Instagram. I'll put pictures of their dresses. They use these beautiful Indian fabrics that are hand printed, etc., and they're ethical, and I haven't tried any of their products so far, but I'm a big fan of their designs. They're really beautiful, and I've seen some similar fabrics from Merchant and Mills. I'll link them down below for you, and they are so beautiful and perfect for the summer in these most gorgeous hues and shades of blue, green and pink and red that I'm so interested in. So I think it's gonna be possible to create such a style with this sewing pattern. One might even try to add maybe a little tie, little ribbon tying thingy in the front with a few buttons. I would even make the gathers fuller. I would add some width to the gathers so that it's a fuller skirt and very flowy, and I think this has a lot of potential for that reason, because you can use some loud patterns and make it really shine. I would use a very light but colorful fabric for this one. Personally, it looks really gorgeous, and even as a top it can be very beautiful. Think Arnhem clothing or some as I said, Daughters of India. There are so many brands that make these flowy, beautiful, special garments, and we can make it at home with our own sewing machine. Alright, so the next piece I found, the next pattern rather, is the Flora Blouse. It is so pretty from the picture. I love that the top of it is lace and it's this gathered front. It looks really vintagey, and there's this unexpected twist, which is that the sleeves are actually bat sleeves, and I think if you don't like bat sleeves, you could totally turn it into normal sleeves. However, if you're not interested in insertions and like sleeves, which are kind of difficult to make, and you're a beginner, you want to make a shirt, this is a great pattern, and I think it reminds me of some Cezanne blouses. It looks really vintagey. You could really play with the lacy part, make it maybe two different fabrics or something. It's really cute and sweet, and it looks easy enough for a first shirt attempt. So I totally love this one. So the next pattern is the Anthea Milkmaid dress, and I love Milkmaid dresses, and I think even though they've been really trendy lately, I think, thinking about the history of fashion and everything, Milkmaid styles are timeless. They always come back. Even Marie Antoinette wore them. There is literally no way they're going out of style. Maybe briefly, but they will always come back. And they are so elegant. This cut is so flattering on the bust area, and it enhances the waist with the puff sleeves. It's just a beautiful thing that makes you look good, so it's not gonna go out of style in my opinion. I love the orange color that they used here. However, it's a little more autumnal. I would go for maybe a pastel hue and maybe some gingham or stripes, or even a solid color, but maybe not orange, unless you look amazing in orange and you're in autumn. And this is, yeah, a really pretty dress, and it looks simple enough to make. Fun as maybe an intermediate sewist, you could give it a try. And yeah, really pretty, classic and stylish. So the next one is the Petal Coverup. So this is a beach cover-up that you wear on top of your favorite bikini or swimsuit, and with your sun hat and etc. And I absolutely love these styles. They're so pretty, and I used to have one years ago when I was in high school, and every time I wore it I got compliments. It was white, it was so pretty. And then a few years ago I found one from Faithful the brand, which is really expensive, and I was like, I can sew this, it's so simple, but I never got around to it. And now I found this sewing pattern that is so pretty, so easy, especially very easy looking, and I wish I could make it for this summer, but I'll make it for next summer. You guys make it for this summer, you're gonna see how flattering it is. And they use a lacy fabric with this contrasting pink ribbon. I would personally go for a linen gauze or like a cotton gauze, something really earthy and bohemian, and use maybe the same kind of fabric instead of a ribbon for the waistline. I've seen so many vintage sewing patterns from this late 60s, early 70s that have these exact styles that people wore as dresses or cover-ups back then as well, with large hats, and I am a huge fan. It's so stylish and definitely a perfect beginner sewing project. Next we have the Salia Romper, and I love rompers because They are stylish and simple. You just throw them on and go out. You don't have to think about it much. And this one is particularly sweet and feminine and pretty, flowy, etc. However, it's not for the faint of heart. I don't think it's particularly difficult, honestly, but it does have zippers and gathers and sleeve insertions, etc. So if you're a newbie, maybe start with one of the other sewing patterns mentioned in this video. However, if you like a challenge, a little bit more of a complicated project, this one is for you, and it is so pretty. Next pattern is the Wilder top, and I actually really love this because it reminds me of the Faithful, the brand, one of my favorite summer brands. I actually have a top, I'll put a picture of it, really similar to this with matching linen pants, and I wear it all the time. I feel so good in it, so it's really nice to find a similar sewing pattern. It's almost identical, except mine has a bigger bow which can be easily adjusted, and so you can adjust the sewing pattern to make it more similar to the one I'm wearing if you prefer it that way. I personally do because it has more of a fluff to the tie. You can also make matching linen pants like the ones I'm wearing in that picture. I think that this kind of set is so Mediterranean, organic, flowy, comfy and stylish. You can walk in the streets but also go have some food at a restaurant, have a drink and feel stylish. And it is a very, very easy project in my opinion because it doesn't have darts. I don't think it has darts. It just has some elastic sleeves, etc. So all you need to know how to do is to insert sleeves, which is a little tricky in the beginning, but I think that you can do it. So this is a perfect sewing pattern, plus as with all the other ones in this video, it is free. Next we have the Ash Pinta Chamisole. This really looks like the Gibson Girl styles from the past. You know, it looks really vintagey, really delicate, really pretty. I personally love it, and I can't believe that it's free because it's so it's simple, but it's so versatile because you can really easily personalize it. If you're not used to personalizing a pattern, I'm personally not very familiar with doing that, but I would totally do it if I were to make this pattern. What I would do is I would maybe add some lace insertions. I would definitely shorten the fabric below the tie, and I would make it more gathered. And also you could add some lace ruffles around the edges. You could do a lot of things with this. You could pick even other pastel colors and other types of ribbons depending on what you like. So I think it's very simple, pretty delicate and fun. So all those little details are fun to make, like pin tucks, little ribbons. It's just a sweet little project and useful to wear in the summer. Next we have the Clara linen peasant blouse, and honestly I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of peasant style at first glance, but I do like it if it's made with the perfect fabric. For example, Indian printed cottons like we mentioned before from Daughters of India, that kind of style. And or if you like doing embroidery, you could embroider maybe the edges and the neckline, and that's such a special personalized project. And if I think about it that way, it sounds so fun. You could even add some beads, like for example if you're using an Indian cotton with a floral motif, you could add some little beads at the centers of the flowers, etc., and really make it an intricate, special, personalized project. And that sounds so fun. And the blouse itself is simple enough if you're used to inserting sleeves, and that seems easy enough, honestly. Intermediate sewing skills are sufficient for this project, and it's very versatile. All of these sewing patterns are really what I like about them is that they're versatile. You can really play around with them. They're not that particular, and sometimes that's a good thing, especially if you adapt it to your body as you make it. Maybe you make a muslin first and then you find the perfect fit, and then every time you remake it. These are easy enough to make, and then every time you make a little different version with a creative addition. And that's what sewing is all about. That's what makes it fun, and this experiment, this creativity is all that's special. Alright, so these are all of the lovely sewing patterns I found for you guys. You can find all of them linked down below in the description box. I hope you liked them. I hope you got inspiration and enjoyed this video. I can't wait to continue making more sewing videos on this channel. If you have any requests that don't require any sewing supplies for me to have personally, leave them down below in the description box, and I will gladly see if what I can do. And thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, definitely do so for a content revolving around anything regarding fashion, such as ready-made garments, reviews, hauls, try-ons, fashion history, and sewing, everything. And have a great day. See you in the next video. Bye!